This video is brought to you by Craven's Comic Books and Collectibles. Check out their weekly live show, auction, and sale at facebook.com/cravenscomics every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. And you can check out their inventory at cravenscomics.com. Craven's Comics, for the comics you crave. That we have Mr. Paul Amos with us.
We made it.
You made it. Not a dream. Not an alternate reality. We did it, folks. I was doing a filibuster. I was like, Mr. Smith goes to Washington for the last 10 minutes.
Good. Give me 2 secs.
Oh, God.
No, I'm here.
Okay, perfect. Good stuff, man. So we were talking, I was talking a bit about Jupiter's Legacy, how I really enjoyed the show. And you
did enjoy it?
I really did. I really did enjoy the show.
Oh.
And I think that between you and Anna Akana, you got like one of the best entrances to the show. Best introduction. Oh, so yeah. What was it like, man, shooting that? Like, I know you did wire work and there was CG for that. What was it like shooting that scene?
Yeah, that scene was cool. Yeah, especially when you see it in the script, right? Because, you know, as an actor, you know, finally playing a superhero, even though we were like on Lost Girl, Vex wasn't really a superhero as such, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Far from anything super and hero. But you know, the whole idea of like the building coming apart, and I'd read the books, the comic books, so I knew that Barnabas has all these incredible staged montages of his powers. If you read the comic books, so I was very excited for that. You know, I mean, the one where he goes he goes into the office space and he just makes everybody collapse. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Everyone sort of falls asleep. He's got incredible power, so it was really fun. So I was like, how the hell are they going to do that? You know, how are they going to make the whole building come in and apart? And it was very cool. And they've kept the color scheme as well. So yeah, doing that was fun. The costume itself was incredible, but it was really, really super tight. So then you had to put the harnesses underneath that.
Oh, geez.
I know. So it's Wedgieville in the worst possible way. But it was really fun. I mean, I love that kind of stuff. You know, you're strung out 100 feet in the air, and then you're gliding down. And we did it a few times. It didn't take me, I think we only did like 3 takes of that. And then they actually had to have a stunt person because they had to go really far up, I think, in the green screen. And I wasn't available. I think I was in Mexico on holiday.
That's a better place to be on that day. You know, so you're not up there doing that. Let some other guy do it.
Exactly. It was December too. It was early December. You know, it's early December in Toronto. You want to be as far away from it anyway.
Oh yeah.
It's not the nicest place early December. So yeah, it was so much fun. You know, it was a cool costume, and you have a cane, and you know, you're like gliding down on this purple kind of orb sphere thing.
Yeah, and then you get to, with your character itself, it seems like you kind of took from all of your past performances, you know, like Dr. Roberts and Vex and Jacob Fryer, and kind of made this amalgam for this character.
That's like super true. It was interesting when I got that character. I was like, you know, I started thinking what I could do with it, and I was like, it's really an amalgamation of all the characters I've played to date. And not only that, in some ways, like coming back around, like we did Lost Girl, which, you know, I just moved to Canada at that point in time. And, you know, I'd done the Stratford Festival, and I was just trying to get a TV career off the ground. And Lost Girl, when it first arrived in terms of the script, the pilot was like, it was a really big thing in Canada. They were like, this is a really good script, you know, they're really hoping. And, you know, Jay had done a lot of other stuff, you know, in terms of shows that were successful, that were popular for Canada at that point in time, right? Because Canadian TV we always got a little bit of a bad rep, and
Yeah.
it took a long time for them to get a few shows that were successful and were respected. So they were like, oh, this is a good show. And I remember getting that part, and it was like 2 scenes basically, but it was such a cool character. And knowing where that character started, and he was supposed to die, and then the arc of that character, Barnabas kind of like strikes me a little bit of the same, but now it's like on a much bigger level.
Right.
So I feel like I've come back around to the same place, and there's a bit of Vex in it too, because I mean the powers are similar, but they're better, they're bigger. He has the same kind of sadism, but then he has the classy kind of scruples of somebody like Dr. Roberts, or and then he's just got a little bit of the rogue about him, like Jacob Fry, and having done those different types of characters and those different types of genres and those shows, it's sort of come together. So I really hope people like the show and we get a season 2, because I'm sure knowing where that character sits in the books, and there's a fun little story for sure in season 2, and some really nice dark sadistic layers to unearth yet with that character.
Well, number 1 in the world on Netflix is a good sign that maybe things will go in the right direction for season 2 here. I
know, and on any streaming platform too. They've
wow,
it consecutively for 7 days, which was, I woke up on the Friday and I think the first review I read when I woke up at like 6 a.m. is, I mean, we were all very excited, right? It was a long time ago that it feels like anyway that we filmed it. It was 2019. So, the world was a very different place then. And I guess the trajectory in terms of how we perceived that would go, in terms of timelines of like finishing, then they do the VFX, and then the show would be out the next summer. There'd be a premiere in LA, we'd go to it, all those kind of things. And that all kind of bit the dust, right? With a lot of other people's plans. And, sadly, everything else that's happened as a result of COVID. So it's felt like it's been a bit of limbo. So when it eventually came out, it was very exciting. It was like Christmas Day, it's like you come down to open the presents. But the first present I opened was I think it was the Hollywood Reporter review. And I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, what is this? I don't want that. The receipt pile. I'm taking that one back. Did you ever have that? Like my parents, they created a Christmas Day. We had there was the receipt pile. So as we'd open it, it was like, oh yeah, that's the receipt pile. You can take that one back. I'll take the money on that one.
Yeah, no, I used to do something similar, but it was not about necessarily taking it back and giving me the money. I was just like, I would have I would just touch the present and know, almost like psychically just know what was in it. And then I would create a pile of presents that were clothing.
Right.
And then I would dig into all the toys first, right? Anything.
All right.
And I would do all that. And then everybody in my family would get very upset with me because they're like, you're just kind of shitting all over what we give you. And I'm like, yeah, but it's clothes.
So you have Christmas superpowers.
I was a lot better when I was younger. My powers have waned as I've gotten older, but I still do pretty good. If you give me a box.
Because he stopped believing in the magic of Christmas. That's why.
No.
Somebody gave you Baby Yoda behind you. I see a Vader as well. There's some Christmas presents in the background there.
Yeah, there's some. Yeah. Actually, the behind the Baby Yoda is the vinyl soundtrack to The Mandalorian. That was a Christmas gift. Yeah. No, they're
lovely.
Yeah, no, it's some good stuff in there. But back to Jupiter's Legacy. Your character. As an actor, do you just happen to fall into these roles? Is it something that you're looking for, or do you just because I'm curious about it, because there's a lot of these characters are deliciously complex, right? Like I look at Vex, like he was bad, he kind of is good, but sometimes he's not. He's very roguish. Is that something that attracts you to certain roles, or is it just just happenstance that it's kind of worked out this way?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. There's there's the whole idea of stereotypes and archetypes, and for instance, with Shakespeare, uh, there's a certain lineage of characters that those actors would have played, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's sort of, they start off here and then they go on the trajectory, but you're kind of almost crafting out a character through your life, or this is how they would have done it. So they would have started in the company young, and you almost like you can see the arc of all those characters, and all those actors would have taken certain lineage of roles that would have led you then to Richard III, or would have led you to King Lear, or Hamlet, but you would have started off with some of the smaller ones and made it through until you finally got to that. So the way I feel, I mean, a lot of actors are like this. Sometimes you do get to explore a lot of different types of characters if you're lucky. But still, I think even within that, there's a sort of a lineage of you see the progression of actors and good actors that they do that. So I feel like I've always been in that ballpark of, it's those type of characters that are, it's that archetype. He's the Puck, right? So it would have been Puck to begin with. You might have played when you were a kid, but then you're going to end up playing Richard III at the end of it. So, I started off playing Puck in Midsummer Night's Dream. He's the like little cheeky chappy who's kind of, running around, and he's the fairy and creating chaos. But then you look at that at the end of that scale, and you've got Richard III. So the chaos he's created is a dark chaos, but he's still got that cheeky chappy thing. He's still talking to the audience. Everybody loves him. He's just killing people now,
He's just killing people now.
Killing people now, as opposed to lighting up fairy trees.
Yeah, it's like he's got a new hobby. He kills people. Oh, that's great. Good for him. He's moving up in the world. Good stuff.
Yeah. Oh man. So in that sense, like the characters I've played have often been around that, and it's like sometimes I'll play a slightly smarter character that makes you think he is smart, but then you're like, is he really that smart? And it's a bit like me in real life. I mean, sometimes I do things that don't seem smart at all, and then other times I do really smart things.
It's good to have a balance. It is.
Ultimately, like the characters I play, they can only really inhabit what I inhabit in real life. So, and that's the type of person I am. We live in a Collingwood right now. We have a beautiful house. It's a second house. I have a beautiful daughter. She just went out on her electric bike. But at the same time, I might get too drunk one night, or I might not make a good choice. And you can entertain people sometimes, and then sometimes you do stuff that doesn't make people feel as good. It's just life, and we do these things, and we're just all having a crack at it, right?
No, totally. It sounded like in the middle of that you're going to break into a Talking Heads song there. Beautiful house and a beautiful child.
And I was starting to.
Oh my God!
A bit like Dave too.
Yeah. No, definitely. Oh my God! But with Jupiter's Legacy, of course, and the character of Barnabas Wolfe, if you look at the original drawing that Frank Quitely did for the comic, it's almost like it was tailor-made for you. Like the image looks 79.8% your likeness.
I know. We talked about the cap and the beard too. It was funny. I was going to go with a mustache, but I think given what they did with the show in terms of updating it, it just would have been a bit too much in the past. It had just been a little bit too twee, right? A little kind of the mustache twirling.
Yeah.
So I think it was probably smart that we went with a slightly fuller thing, and I don't think we needed to go with the yarmulke. Just that we were in a different ballpark, and it wasn't necessary. But Liz Wolfe, who was the costume designer, she's incredible. I think she did a really wonderful job of updating what is a classic glory day of superhero characters and making them seem kind of modern, but also at the same time giving so much homage to the original artwork and comic books and that whole notion of the superhero. With my character, she just like literally did word for word, picture, pixel for pixel, like stitch for stitch, what was on that cover of 5.
Right.
And not only it was amazing as well, because they actually flew us to LA for those costume fittings. So I mean, I was the Toronto actor, and they wouldn't let any of the costumes leave LA until they were done. So they'd fly you there for like a 45-minute costume fitting, which was awesome. And you're like, all right, I guess I'll go to LA for 45 minutes, but I might stay the night or a couple.
Yeah, exactly.
I am from Toronto. It gets a little cold, y'all.
Yeah. What a strange idea, just to be able to think of to fly to LA for 45 minutes. Like that, just like I can't even imagine that now. You know what I mean? Because it's like, because you'd have your quarantine.
Mind blown constantly when I think back to, you know, and I did that twice, 3 times just to finalize those costume fittings.
Right.
And just the whole idea of just quickly joining over, you know, they put you at the front of the bus and you're like, this is the life. Now, you know, if you think about doing that, there's 14 days to like, you know, lose your mind in a hotel. And, you know, trying not to hit the mini bar too viciously. The 14 days, that could get pricey.
You should put together a how to self-isolate for a job tutorial. That's what you should do.
Or the do nots.
Yeah. Do and do not. Yeah.
But it was amazing. She did a great job, and like, you know, everything was like beautifully custom made. I have the most amazing leather boots and leather, and it's all like fitted to the max. But the best bit that she did is the tie is actually made of horsehair, which so and there's another little thing as well. So we had the idea that Barnabas is like a deviant, right? So, you know, he's into the deviant aspects of life. He's a little offside, and also if you look, he only has 4 fingers. So if you look at the glove, it's a 4-fingered glove, which is actually made from a very famous Italian model glove that was actually, I think they got them made. They were like something like $15,000 US. Because it was a very special glove, but it's kind of a little nod to the deviant world and the horsehair as well. So, you know, that's where I think Barnabas sits. You know, he's sort of one of those people. He's a bit of a mercenary, and if there's something in it for him, he's willing to do anything. You know, and I think that's how. Like even in the first step when he comes in, he's just like he was a former supervillain, but he's kind of helping them out. I mean, if you know the books, and you realize he's working with you know with Walter and eventually you know Brandon, and they're working out how to get rid of everybody. But you don't know that when he arrives. You don't know whether he's a good or bad guy, right?
Yeah.
There's just a sense of unease about him, like he's just a bit of a dick and. You know, he just makes your skin crawl a little bit, you know, with Lady Liberty and, you know, and funny enough, there was a couple of scenes in 6 that I think they must have cut to keep him around, I think. And also it was just like, he was really offside. So they've kept him a little bit more contained right now. And it'd be interesting to see if we get to explore the darkness in season 2, because the show gets horrifically dark pretty quickly. I don't think people realize that. I mean, it was funny about the reviews is it's like Star Wars, right? Not very well reviewed at all when it came out. You know, it's like the new kid on the block, you know, in terms of cinema and the notion of that. So. You know, Mark's work with Netflix they're a bit like the new kids on the block. You know, it's Marvel and DC have been there for a long time now. So working with Mark and seeing Millerworld come about, it's like the new kids on the block. So sometimes they don't always like, the reviewers, sometimes, they're not sure what they want the new kid on the block. But by the time Empire Strikes Back came out, and then they were like, all right, this is different. I think that's what's going to happen in season 2. It'll be the Empire Strikes Back, because it gets dark quickly and you realize what the setup is. Like at the moment, everyone's like, I think I like this show. It's interesting. It's going in a different place. It's well shot. The actors are pretty much good. But they don't realize the amount of setup that's just took place to take you down a really dark rabbit hole of superhero characters. And it's funny, the reviewers, I wonder whether they've even read the books. You're just like, did you just go and watch this blind? Because if you read any good book, it's like, one of my favorite shows is The Wire. So many people didn't make it past the first 4, 5, 6 episodes of that. And they tapped out, people. And I was like, dude, no. You have to stick with that. That's all the setup. And then you get these 5 glorious seasons.
Yeah.
But people don't always realize that, right?
No, I still need to watch The Wire. It's one of those dirty secrets. Yeah. It's true. It's
like 5 seasons. That's a lot of seasons.
No, it was just one of those shows that I missed it. As much as I love television, and every time I hear somebody tell me about The Wire, I want to sit down and watch it. It's just now the problem is I need to find the time to dedicate to 5 seasons of the show. Because I have a tendency to binge. That's the problem. Like when I watched Jupiter's Legacy, like I remember you you sent me a message on Friday morning asking me what I thought, and I was like, I'm almost finished. And then I finished watching it.
Yeah.
Sorry?
It's very binge worthy.
Oh yeah, no, you just keep rolling through it. And like I said to you at the time the only regret I've got about watching it is that I now have to wait. I don't know how many months until a season 2. You know what I mean? Because I told you before the show even aired, I still think it's going to get a season 2 guaranteed.
Yeah.
Even before the number 1 in the world thing.
Yeah. I think what's good that might happen there, which is good for Mark and definitely good for the whole idea of bringing those cross universes, the cross worlds within the universe to life, is that I think there'll be a lot of people intrigued by what they saw. And as there's a gap in between, they'll probably go to the books. So it's not a bad thing. And I think going to the source material, like even though I've read the books many times, it's very interesting to see how it comes to life and to see what works and doesn't work in an adaptation. And so you consider what it is that you liked about this form and that form. And then you get to compare and contrast, right? It's what we should be doing in life. We shouldn't just be, saying this is it, this is all there is, this is my one thing. You should be like considering lots of different things. And
of course,
there's something good about that, and there's something, that didn't work, but this is good. We're getting down such a path in life where people just want to put their post and their mast and this is me, this is my flag, this is it. But it's not about that. We're in it together. There's like a lot of interesting things to be taken from all things. Mm-hmm. So if they get pushed to the book, that's a good thing. And then they get pushed to some of his other material. That's an excellent thing too. So there is that. I think that's the saving grace of having a little time in between, is to get more of a sense of the world. That some people probably never heard of Mark Millar.
Oh yeah.
This is like, this is the highest tier. And that's what's interesting about the reviews as well, is I've realized that with Assassin's Creed, is that when you go into the upper echelon of the highest tier of, pop culture or whatever, it's really hard to please everybody. It's, ultimately that's it. You can't please everybody, our politics and our life and everything. And that's fine. That's cool. Sometimes it doesn't need to be as harsh. In life, we can all just be a little bit more graceful about things at times, I feel. Even if you don't like something, there might be somebody else that does. So you don't have to shit on it because you don't like it.
Yeah, just because you don't like it doesn't mean you have to be mean about it. Totally, I get that. And
No.
this show, Jupiter's Legacy, of course, I was saying earlier before you came on that the book is kind of like rock and roll, and that it's like fast and like it's like bam, bam, bam. It like throws a lot of action at you. Whereas the show is kind of more like a smooth jazz, where it's like it really goes into the characters and really deals with what they allows the viewer to feel what they're feeling, which I think is great. And the first season sets the table perfectly for a high body count in season 2. So I'm looking forward to that. And I look forward to more people getting a chance to check this out. Thank you so much for coming on the program, man. It's been great talking with you.
No, you're very welcome. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Have yourself a great night, sir.
I shall do, gents. It's good to see you both again. And you
Good
have a
to see
lovely
you.
weekend.
You too.
You too, man. You enjoy your beautiful house and your beautiful daughter and your beautiful car and your beautiful wife.
Yeah.
And the days go by.
And they just keep going by.
Same as it ever was. Same as it ever was, definitely.
Yeah.
All
We're
right,
back at the bus at this point in time, are we? We're back at the queue in Ontario.
Yeah,
Everyone
yeah.
else we're just like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, hope you can get through it, man. And,
yeah, you guys too. Take care.
see you later.
Thanks, Paul. Bye.
Bye, man.